It's good.
Okay, we're recording. Welcome, everyone. It's 4 o'clock on Thursday, June 12th, 2025. We are meeting in City Hall Council Chambers for the Library Board meeting. And so call this meeting to order. The first item is to approve our agenda. Everyone has their agenda in front of them, and we've had a chance to look at that. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
We have an opposed, same sign? Nobody. All right, we have an agenda. Great. Now, we have a special guest here, summer reading program, youth services librarian. Step to the microphone, introduce yourself, and tell us about the 2025 summer reading program.
Good afternoon. I am Catherine Tatnall, the youth service librarian. These are my notes today, so it's going to be really short. I just wanted to grab some numbers. We started summer reading Monday, June 9th, and we have had a whirlwind of activity all week long. So it's been wonderful. But on the 9th, we partnered with the Brown County Historical Museum Popcorn Wagon. We had a ton of very excited children coming in to get their popcorn. And then some went and got their popcorn and came back and ate it, which was really rude in front of me, and they didn't bring me any. But they were really, really wonderful. So we have a wonderful theme this year. I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it is Color Your World on our shirt. The theme is actually Color Our World, but we didn't want to run into copyright infringements because we made our own shirts this year and had them printed at Printware Graphics, and they are really wonderful to us, and we've had a lovely time. I think the only complaint is the shirt is like a tunic. It's very long. But everybody is having a great time. So when was it? Before 12:30 this afternoon, we had passed out 309 reading records for kids birth through 5th grade and 72 records for teens 6th grade through 12th grade, senior year. So we're doing pretty well for the first week. As I left, there were 3 families in line to pick up reading records. So I'm very happy with our response, and it's always very fast and furious up to this week, and then this week is always, I go home every night and I'm just like, okay, I could do it again tomorrow, it's okay. But it is wonderfully busy, and I tend to thrive on that, and I enjoy it very much. We have an 8-week program again this year. We're asking the kids who are birth through 5th grade to read 20 minutes a day for at least 6 days a week, and that's at least 20 minutes. We have a lot of kids who are like, what? Like, that's very easy for them. But for some kids, it is something to work out. I had a young man the other day say, well, I'd like to do it. And he took his stuff, and then he came back a little later and said, I don't know if I can do this. And then he left, and then he came back a little bit later and said, I don't think I'm going to do this. And he gave me his stuff back. And then a little bit later, he came back and he goes, I'm just so confused. I don't know whether to do this or not. And I said, sweetie, why don't you go home? He was with a daycare group. And I said, go home and talk to your parents about it and see if it's what you should do and what they want you to do. And if it is, they can bring you in and we can talk about it. Okay, I'll do that. So it was really, really cute. But the teens are a little different. We let them do, so the little kids get a prize every week for reading, and they get a stamp on their reading record. But the teens are very independent, and so we send them away with their reading record, and we don't see them until it's over. And then they come in and they get a little swag bag full of candy and gifts, and they tend to really like that very much. So that's the good news about that. Programming has started. We were knee-deep in people on Monday for story time, and we've had a wonderful response to our STEM classes this year again. We're doing Creative Kids for the kindergartners and the first graders, and the Wacky Wonders is for the 2nd through 5th graders. I still have paint on my hand, so we were just painting worlds. We painted a little ping pong ball and put it on a tea light so it glows. and they really enjoyed that, but we were kind of messy. It's going really well tomorrow. We're doing movies every 2 weeks, so tomorrow's our first movie at 2 o'clock. We're showing Tangled, so if you want to sit down with us some popcorn, have a movie. We did have an elderly couple come to watch one of our kids' movies one day, and it was very nice. And my coworker said, "Do you think maybe you want to go downstairs and watch the senior movie?" And they're like, "Nah." We'll have a nice afternoon with that tomorrow. We've got some great entertainment coming in from the cities, kind of a very adventuresome and active, almost slapstick comedy. This husband and wife duo called Mixed Nuts is going to do this program, and they have a ladder that they never put up against the wall, but they both climb it often. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's going to be in July. We've got a concert we're sponsoring from, Riff and Griffin is from the cities. And they're kind of a 90s band that does kids music. And my favorite song that they do is called Leftovers. Put 'em in the fridge, put 'em in the fridge, eat 'em later, leftovers. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that'll be in German Park.
Classic.
Yes, it is. It's a kids' classic now. So we also are doing a couple teen programs. Next week, we're going to be doing a pickle forensics. So teen forensics, we're going to use pickles. So 2 rival pickle gangs have had a little mix-up in the alley, and several of the pickles did not make it. And the kids and I are going to go through and see just what happened using forensics, see if we can find out who started the pickle war, who ended it, and who ended first. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it. We're going to do a teen craft next month in July, and I cannot think of the word because it's a scientific word and they don't stick with me very well. But we're going to make something that floats in liquid. Make these little bottles. But it was all part of the collaborative that we used for our summer reading, for our theme, and a lot of the different ideas that they had. So we're going to do that. We have story time. Mondays at 10:30, we have story time. On Wednesday evenings, we had a big crowd last night in their pajamas for a pajama party. It was really fun. And we're going to do our special Friday story time, which is our story time with a craft. It's just all of the great programming with this little twist of coloring and art. So all of our prizes this year for summer reading will be art kits for the different ages of the kids. And what else are we doing? Just having a lot of fun. Really, just having a lot of fun.
Video gaming club.
Oh my gosh, how could I forget? So we started Video Game Club last fall, and it just took off. The 2nd through 5th grade class is huge. So about 17 kids come, and we have 2 game systems that they use, and they are amazing in the fact that they just, when I say, hey guys, how long have you played? Do you need to turn your controller over? They just pass it to the next kid. No fuss, no muss. They're just, and they do a lot of that on their own. Like one group I went over to and said, are you guys switching? And they're like, we just did it. Mm-hmm. And so those kids who have played will go and get a snack and come back. We're doing 2 sessions with them because they are 15 to 17 strong in that class. Like every month, that's how many I'm getting for 1 hour of video game play after school. And they love it. So during the summertime, I have more time in the afternoon, and we can do it a little earlier. So we're going to do it for an hour and a half. And we have one group on Tuesday, and we'll have another group next Tuesday. And I'm going to take about 12 kids. We had a little under 12 Tuesday, and they did a fabulous job. We had a great time. And everything was a little bit calmer. One of the dads said, so is this a good size? And I said, oh, this is a great size for me. We have 8 kids. And I said, I love this size because 14 is so loud. They get competitive and they start screaming and you're like, no, settle down. The teens are even louder. So, and there's less of them. And they, I don't know how they can be louder, but they are. But it's wonderful to see, and they have a great time doing it. So the teens are coming up. Those classes are happening on Tuesday afternoons. And the teens will come up later this month. So I think that's all we're doing. I do whatever happens. Whatever. Yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. I was kind of nervous about it, and then the programming started, and I was like, "Oh, I love doing this. What was I nervous about?" So,
Sounds like a great summer. Questions, comments?
any questions?
I just want to commend Catherine and all the work she's put into the summer reading program, because it doesn't just start this week. It started months ago with all of her planning and preparations and printing brochures and designing brochures and designing
Designing
T-shirts and applying for grants. So she's been working on this for months. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I am just very thrilled that you all trust me to do it. So, thank you for listening.
Well, you talked quite a bit about teens. Is this, has that program been growing? Have you got more teens this year than you had last year, more teens than you had
We
5
have
years ago?
more, yeah, right now we have more teens who have taken reading records than last year. So I'm really excited. And we have more teens at programming, it seems. We've been finding our way with them. We've tried a lot of different things, and the video game club seems to be the one. They'd like to do certain crafts, but by and large, they're just not. I don't know. I haven't hit that draw for them just yet, but they really love the video game club, so we'll just keep trying. We'll figure it out.
Any more comments or questions? Again, thank you.
Yeah, just echoing what April said too. I know with our 3 little ones, they absolutely enjoyed being there right away on Monday morning. The first ones to get their packets, I think. So, and just not only you, but other staff there too, calling them by their first names. It just creates such a warm and welcoming environment for them.
Good.
So thank you very much.
I'm really thrilled to do that, and I will tell you, I will remember every child's name, but I can't remember adults'
You
names.
can't remember phosphorescence?
No, phosphorus, no, it's not even that. It begins with an R.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't matter. But anyway, yeah, and I feel like there's so much value in a name and in just listening. And so this little girl today said, "Do you want to know why I have a bandage on?" She had one all around her wrist, and I was like, "Well, I do want to know because I'm very curious, but I don't want to intrude." She goes, "Well, I'll tell you." And I said, "Okay." So she told me what happened, and we talked a little bit, and I just, that is where I get my joy, is just talking to the kids. So it's enjoyable, and I love the summer because I get to see more of them a lot more often. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you,
Have a
thank
good
you,
meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. How lucky we are to have a wonderful youth service librarian and your staff. So, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from May 8th. We have those in our packet. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments about those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have minutes. Now we have our financial report and summary from May of 2025.
We are 42.19% through 2025, and our budget is approximately 41% expended. Some of the bills that we paid during May included $354 to Pharonics for Deep Freeze, which is a program that we use on our public laptops that we have available for in-library use, so that if anything is downloaded or settings changed, once the computer restarts, it reverts it to how we had it set up.
Okay.
And then that was also for antivirus software for those laptops. And that's a 3-year subscription there. And we have $2,163 to Sebco Books. They specialize in junior nonfiction books, especially hardcovers, which are one of the most expensive books you can get. Those skinny little books about lizards that are hardcover with glossy pictures for kids are very expensive. But Sebco has a great collection of them. They can be harder to find through our regular vendors, so we placed a big order with them. And then we had $1,185 to Minnesota Elevator for elevator repair. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my librarian's report. And then we had $1,877 to ProQuest for our annual subscription to Ancestry Library Edition, which is a genealogy platform that our patrons can use to research family history. And then $2,701 to Full Service Electric for removing, we capped wiring to where the stove was in the kitchenette downstairs just for safety. We replaced some of our emergency lights, and then it also included $2,184 of that was badge entry cabling to the entrances as part of that door project. And that funding was from the library's fund balance as you approved at your February meeting. Now, we coded it to the contractual maintenance building line, so you will see that as part of the total for that line in the reports.
Okay, any questions or comments about the financial report?
I just had a question. When you said the deep freeze and antivirus software was a 3-year subscription, was that for both of them? 3
Yes.
years or just, okay?
Yeah,
okay,
both are 3 years, and they're both included in that total.
Okay.
Okay,
And we did have a subscription for deep freeze and antivirus software through Phoronix for all of our staff and the staff computers plus those public laptops, but the city IT had a better solution for our staff computers, so we moved to that and just renewed for the public laptops with those
great.
two.
Thank you.
so you work with the city's IT department?
Yes.
Right, okay. good.
Yep, so they consult with me about what we need and what will work for us, since I'm handling the budgeting piece of it, but I'm really relying on their expertise for what will work for us.
Any other questions? Okay, good. We'll move on to the library department activities report.
So I wanted to just give an update on the Institute of Museum and Library Services funding. The State Library Services, which is in charge of distributing that funding throughout the state, received an award letter for 50% of their usual grant. And as I've mentioned, there were 21 states that participated in a lawsuit to challenge the executive order to dismantle IMLS. And so only states that participated in that federal lawsuit are receiving grant funds at this time. 2026, the 2026 proposed federal budget defunds IMLS almost completely. So that right now, the IMLS budget comprises about 0.005% of the overall federal budget, or about $313 million. And for fiscal year 2026, the budget would be slashed to $6 million and to basically conduct a closeout of IMLS. So then that means that they would no longer distribute grants to states that are used to help fund public library and museum services, and the IMLS would basically be shuttered. And that right now is the only federal agency dedicated to public libraries. Their 2025 fiscal year ends on September 20th, which means whatever decision is made for the 2026 budget begins October 1st of this year. And if it's slashed as much as they are proposing, whatever happens in either of the lawsuits that was brought in response to the executive order, they're basically, those actions wouldn't matter. Excuse me. Because there wouldn't be a budget to disperse any grants or any budget to pay for the IMLS staff. Congress also needs to reauthorize the Museum and Library Services Act of 2018 by September 30th. It has a 6-year authorization cycle that ends at the end of this fiscal year, and only Congress can reauthorize the act. And if they don't, IMLS is no longer statutorily required. So even if the budget for IMLS is reinstated, the agency wouldn't have any obligations if that act is not authorized again. So that's where we're at with this currently. We're still kind of waiting to see how this will trickle down through state library services and through Minitex. There's a lot of decisions to be made there. So as far as our 2026 budget, I don't know what any direct impacts to us could be, but it would be the impacts we're looking at to our services that we receive from statewide agencies at this point.
Right into the patrons of the library.
Right. So in future years, it could affect things like our fees through TDS if somehow the regional libraries end up taking on more responsibility. All that, we just don't know.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions or comments about this particular ongoing issue of, financing inter-library loans? Otherwise, we'll just stay tuned.
I just have I wonder about, executive orders and that unless they're codified into law, I mean, they take effect, but then they're not codified into law, so then the next administration can just reverse them. Isn't that how that works?
Well, that's the way it works, except that, it's like a USAID, once you dismantle
Then you
a
gotta put it back
system,
together.
It's like,
Right.
it's like the.
Way more
you know,
expensive to
It's
put
all
it back
taken
together.
apart, that's the issue.
Okay.
But you're correct about
Yep.
executive
Yep.
orders.
Thank you.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Anything else? Otherwise, we can move on.
So I wanted to talk about our elevator. The
Okay.
children's room elevator is, we've had issues with, there's the regular keypad that you use to select a floor, but we have an additional keypad that allows us to lock floors. So there's not access to like our storage area and stuff. And that keypad has gone out completely and is not replaceable. They no longer work with that model. So our city IT director has recommended that we replace the keypad with one that will work with our ID badges like the doors do, which would be a good solution for us. And I think simplify some of the locking and unlocking of floors for us. So we're working to get a quote on what that might cost. But I did talk with the city finance director, and she said that that could likely come out of the city's 290 fund for building projects. So it wouldn't necessarily have an effect on the library's budget. So once I have more information on that and concrete direction, I'll bring back an update to the board, but it might not require any action on your part if we're not spending any library budget funds. And then I found out today that the steam line that runs under the library parking lot needs to be replaced. Again, that doesn't have any effect on the library itself, but it does affect our parking lot. We will have work, right now, work is scheduled for Monday through Wednesday of next week, so parking in that section of the lot, kind of past those two back entrances, might be blocked off in sections as they work on it. So we'll have all the parking to the side of the building between the library and the church, and all the sidewalks will be open. It's just that the parking back there and access to the book drop might be kind of dicey next week. So, but we'll see what happens there. And then we'll go on to some good news. The study rooms are complete and they're being used. We have all of our memory lab equipment up and running in the first pod, and we've had appointments already in there. And then we have had patrons using the study rooms. Even though our policy wasn't fully approved, we wanted to give patrons a chance to use them since they were ready to be used. So we're pleased. I'm very pleased with the results, and the company we selected, Your Space, was excellent to work with. Very, very smooth, very communicative, and just did a really nice job. So
Those look great. Thanks for the pictures.
They look wonderful.
we all talked about how we had a hard time envisioning them, but we were kind of worried that they would loom over that space, but they seem to fit in
It
okay.
actually kind of matches the building on the outside. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the day that they were being built in, when I stopped in, and they were putting them up, I don't think it looked just like they should have always been there, in that area.
Yeah, and thanks to Megan, she suggested that space because we were looking at our nonfiction, and she thought, well, we really should put them where it'd be easy to monitor them from the service desk. So
Exactly.
that was
yeah.
her idea. And then just a update, I mentioned at our last meeting that the Charter Commission was looking at recommending that the library board go from a requirement of 9 to 7 library board members. And the Charter Commission did approve that change. It still needs to be presented to City Council for approval. But what that would mean is no one who's currently on the board would have to immediately leave the board. Just as terms expire, we would go down to 7 members.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Well,
Thanks for keeping us updated with the
The funding.
IMLS
Yeah.
issues.
right. Good. Well, and I know that both the mayor and the city council president have talked about in this day and age, it's more and more difficult to fill commission positions, and they're looking at all of the commissions because, well, people are busy. People are busy. So, all right. On to programming.
Catherine covered our summer children's programs, so I will move on to our adult programming. This month, I just wanted to highlight our book groups. We have 4 book groups that meet regularly. We have our Litwits, which read general fiction, and they read a wide variety. They meet the first Monday at 6:30 p.m. Then we have our poetry group, and they don't read the same selection each time. Each member just brings 2 or 3 poems to share, and that can include their own work if they would like to share that. And they meet the second Monday at 6:30 p.m. Our history group reads a wide variety of historical books, and they meet the third Tuesday at noon. They meet at the City Center Apartments in the winter and at the library during the summer. So they're meeting at the library right now. And then our mystery group focuses on mysteries, but they read a wide variety of styles of mysteries. And they meet the last Monday of each month at 6:30 p.m. And the library orders copies of each group's pick, and those are available at our service desk. So anyone is welcome to join any meeting that they're interested in and come in and grab a selection and check it out. And our titles for each group are listed on our library calendar of events on our website. So if you can just look for each book group and find out what they're reading each month.
I'll just comment that the history book club's next month's is that we're going in a different direction. The title is Hip Hop is History. I've started it, and I'm more interested than I thought I was. But we do read a wide variety of things. So, anyone else have any comments?
I was just gonna say, it's funny that the senior movie matinees, Footloose, the kind of, all this makes you feel kind of old. Airplane, Places in the Heart,
They've been working through, they started and they went through movies from each decade. So I think each month they did a different
okay.
decade. And
Yeah.
once they got through that, then I think they started over.
Yes.
Yeah.
January started with movies from the 1930s.
I was like, are
again,
they trying
and
to say
now we're
something
up
here?
to,
I know.
Oh, we have a lot of fun at the library.
True, that's true.
That's true. Okay. Programming calendar?
Yep, I just ran through
yeah, okay.
our book groups for this
Oh,
time.
that's fine. We have that. Brown County Library Board update.
So the Brown County Library Board met Monday, June 9th in Springfield at the Springfield Public Library. And for newer board members, the Brown County Library Board is representatives from each of the 5 city library boards, plus a member from the rural districts. And they are in charge of requesting, kind of advising the library directors on county funding and in charge of making the appropriations request to the county fund for county funding each year. So Yvonne and I attended this week's meeting. At the meeting, we received the first half of our 2025 county disbursement, which was $9,675.30. And that is divided equally between all of the 5 libraries. So our portion was the $9,675. And the reason that the libraries decided to do that was because we all serve the rural population of Brown County. So for 2020, the 2026 budget, the board decided to request another $5,000 increase in county appropriations, which is what we've requested for the last several years now. And the appropriations request meeting is August 28th at 11:15 in the county commissioner chambers at the Brown County Courthouse. And all library board members and library supporters are welcome to attend to show your support for county funding for our public libraries. And the board, the Brown County Library Board asked me to help draft the request letter, which we include some of our statistics and the reasoning for that increased funding request. And that will go in the commissioner's packet for that meeting as well.
Okay.
Yvonne, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you, April.
What was the date of the commissioners' meeting again?
August 28th at 11:15 a.m., and that's a Thursday.
Okay.
Missed that out.
Okay. Anything else about the Brown County Library Board? On to the budget. It always, 2026 is right around the corner, right?
So in your packet, you have a draft budget for 2026, and some things to consider while you're discussing the budget. In the chart of the budget itself, I tried to indicate underlines what either some significant expenses are or reasons for the change in a budget line there. And I can talk a little bit about that. But just as an overview, the city finance office has discretion over line items like staff salaries, insurance and benefits, our utilities, our IT support. So the library board doesn't set those, the finance department determines those amounts. The attached worksheet shows the lines bolded where the library board has input. I mentioned the Brown County Library Board met this past Monday, so we don't know what that 2026 amount will be yet for Brown County, so I just included last year's amount there. Our fee schedule is usually set later in the year, but our finance director recommends that we take a look at it as we look at next year's budget. I'm not recommending any changes to our fee schedule for this next year. I think based on what I'm seeing with our revenue lines, we don't take in a lot of revenue. It's copy fees and things like that. So we're not making way more copies than we ever were or anything like that. So I'm just leaving those at this year's amounts. The Traverse de Sioux Library Board approved a 6.17% increase or $1,834 in our 2026 membership fees, which is in the cataloging and processing line. And they have a complicated formula that they used to determine the member fees for all of the libraries based on things like our percentage of the total collection that we house in New Ulm that then is managed by the catalog system, our courier and how many stops we get per week, the number of interlibrary loan requests that TDS handles for us. So there's a formula for each section of those fees that they're basing our individual fee amount on. And then our TDS overdrive fees will increase by 4% or $316 for 2026. Demand continues to increase for those overdrive materials or Libby. And then I am recommending a $4,000 increase to the for 2025, I recommended a $4,000 increase to the contractual maintenance building line to cover the cost of a sprinkler inspection for this year and window cleaning. And I'm recommending that even though we don't have those expenses planned for next year, we keep that line at $17,000 because we've seen an increase in the number of building items we've had to deal with over the past few years.
And costs,
Yes.
contractor costs.
Yes.
Everything's going up.
Yep.
And then just some kind of internal changes. The city's auditor instructed that software subscriptions need to be coded to the subscriptions and memberships line instead of contractual maintenance equipment, which is where we had some of them. So I adjusted those lines accordingly and then increased the subscriptions line a little bit just for the increased cost of subscriptions that we're expecting next year. I'm not planning for any capital expense projects for 2026. And then I've noted, like I said, explanations for the changes in that budget chart. But those changes total an overall increase of $8,734 or 0.78 in the lines that are overseen by the library board. Again, that will change once salaries and insurance are calculated. The finance director is estimating that health insurance will have a 25% increase. Knowing that we were looking at some increased expenses there, I asked her to review the changes I'm recommending on those library board controlled lines, and she said they seemed reasonable to her.
Okay.
But the library board needs to approve a recommended budget by its July 10th meeting, because I need to have these numbers into the finance department by the end of July.
So we will approve, we approve in July.
Yes.
And then it goes to the city,
Yes,
and then it works its way through city council.
correct.
Right, okay. Any questions or concerns? I certainly support, you've got an old building, keeping money in repairs and maintenance is the way to go.
Yes.
The one thing I did want to note is there were a couple things that I decided to build in that we have regularly asked donations for. So that includes our movie license, which we've asked for the Friends or the Optimists to cover. And I think if it's going to be an annual expense for us, it should be in our budget.
Okay.
And that also includes the summer reading program T-shirts. And then that would, allow us to ask the Optimists for, a one-time program or something like that instead.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Any discussion? Otherwise, we'll be looking at this again in July.
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on. We've got now action items. We have a resolution. It's the second reading. Come on. How do I get this here? Oh, how am I doing this? Pardon me. Did I go backwards?
You'd be where you want to be.
I have to be where I'm going to be reading it.
Oh.
Yeah. Try again. Here it is. Okay, sorry.
So that's the policy
Operator error.
That's the
All right,
policy
that's the
itself,
policy
not the
itself, not the
resolution.
resolution. Okay, so that's the policy itself. This is the question. I know that it was read at the last meeting, and there have been a few changes. Do you want me to read it again?
I think
You
we
just
can
read the
waive
changes?
second reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I will go back to the resolution itself. There we go. Come on, baby. I've goofed up again here. Come on. No, that's okay. She's going to get it for me.
Okay,
Here's
so
her.
you want this one here.
All
I
right.
think.
Come on. It's not cooperating with me.
You're right, it's not opening.
Am I on the wrong?
I'm just going to refresh your screen. and
Okay,
see.
we'll refresh. Let's not go into the deep freeze here. All right, here we go. Whew, good deal. All right, operator error has been solved. All right, we've got resolution number 2025-15, approving the study room use policy. This is the second reading, and when we get there, I will, well, first let me take a motion to waive the reading. Can I have do I have a motion?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Anybody want it read? All in favor of waiving the the reading of the actual policy, say aye. Aye. All right, everybody was here. Opposed, same sign? All right, we've waived, that motion passes, and we have waived the reading, but I will read the resolution itself. The library director recommends that the library board adopt the attached study room use policy. This is a new policy created specifically to govern the use and reservation of the study rooms installed in May 2025. The library director used policies from other public and academic libraries as a model for the study room policy. The draft policy was reviewed by the professional librarians on staff. The library director has incorporated their revisions as well as revisions suggested by the library board at its May 8th, 2025 meeting. Revisions are shown in the strike-through and additions and are in red and are actually pretty minor.
Yes,
Yeah.
there was,
Yeah.
we added, under patrons must be age 12 or older to use, we added to use and reserve study rooms, just to clarify there. And then reservations may be made by contacting the library service desk. I just changed that to reservations may be made by contacting the library. So that gives us some future flexibility in how to
Right.
manage those
Yeah,
reservations.
right.
And then under the priority for reserving study rooms, the second point there included City of New Ulm departments, including New Ulm, including NewCat. I just removed the phrasing about NewCat because I based some of this policy to mirror our meeting room policy, and the NewCat piece is less relevant for the study rooms.
Right, they don't, they've got their own space.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, I will take a motion offering the resolution.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? And I'm so thrilled that the study rooms are being used already. They're just fabulous, you know, it's been a long time coming, really, really. All right, any discussion?
I don't know
Otherwise-
if you got a second.
What?
Did you get a second?
Oh, did I get a second?
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I got
sorry.
a second, all right, good. No discussion, secretary, call the roll?
Dustin, yes. Ruth Ann,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Resolution passed. Yay. Okay, on to resolution number 2025-16, approving disposal of surplus items. The library director recommends that the following items be designated surplus and be disposed of or sold through the city's surplus process. 1, VHS player. 2, PlayStation 2 and controllers. 2, PlayStation 2 Dance Revolution game and playmat. 4, computer speaker set. 5, Motorola Impros adaptive charger. 6, L-shaped wooden desk. 7, rectangular wooden desk. 8, office chairs on casters. 3, upholstered center height stools. 7. The technology has been superseded by the library's updated video gaming equipment, which is apparently underused. Great. The furniture was previously used in the library's memory lab and meeting room and has been replaced. These items have no residual value to the library, and the library director recommends that they be declared surplus and disposed of. The technology will be recycled through the city's technology recycling program, and the furniture will be offered to other city departments and disposed of if not claimed. Questions? Comments?
And the furniture was actually furniture that we inherited from other departments.
Hand-me-downs, right? Hand-me-downs. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I'll have a motion to accept the resolution.
So moved.
And we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Dustin, yes. Ruth Ann,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
It's okay. Resolution passes. Any other business to come before this board? Any other business? Any other business? Hearing none, meeting adjourned. Yay.